Ladies and gentlemen, today is March 24th, 2015, and this is the KNKL Show, episode 216, where we learn to be better artists. Today is Tutorial Tuesday. I am your host, Kenan Lafferty, and today we're going to be doing a tutorial on painting gems. Lovely treasures from miles beneath the ocean. Booty, pirate's booty, or just expensive jewelry. I don't know, whatever. I'm going to be teaching you guys about how light interacts with gems and different types of jewels, and we're going to be having a good time. But before we get into that, I need to make a quick announcement, and I wanted to say thank you to everyone who has been joining me on the Skillshare program that has been launched, the Webcomics Challenge. You can actually join. For those of you on Twitch, I actually was smart this time, and I got the link ready to go. So you can join the class. We're up over 200 students, and if you want to come and get some one-on-one feedback from me and learn to draw webcomics, then go on over to that link. And if you're watching this on YouTube, that link is in the description. All right. Now, last but not least, let's move into the lovely lane because you guys have been awesome and are continuing to submit your artwork to the Facebook. So if you guys would like to see all of this art for yourself, just type in that tiny URL at the bottom, or again, the link to the Facebook is in the description of the YouTube video. And come on over, post your art, share it with the community, and come on over and get some cookies. Yeah! All right. So with all that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and get into the tutorial. So let's go ahead and close that down. Closing that down, getting this up, and let's move into the tutorial about gems, drawing gems. And we got some very, very simple pointers for you to learn. So the first thing that is going to be important for you to know is the shape of your gem. And we're going to be doing 3 different types of shapes. I'm going to be showing you 3 different colors and just a couple tips and tricks that I find really help me out with this stuff. Okay, so the first step that you're going to do is actually very, very easy. So I'm sure you've seen this all the time. It's, it's like whatever the outside shape of the gem is as it goes, the cut of the gem, right? Most gems will be cut like this. Basically, you're going to mimic that same shape, okay? You're going to mimic the same shape on the inside. Very simple, yes. But wait, there's more. I'm going to teach you guys a cool little trick that just works with the perspective. So watch this. I've drawn that shape on the inside, and because I'm awesome, I didn't put it out on its own layer. So I'm going to go and lasso that and duplicate it. Okay, so if you want to simulate a little bit of perspective happening, you're going to simply move. See how I move I move the inside shape to the edge of the gem, and immediately you can start to see how once you start connecting these lines, it will create a bit more of a perspective feeling, okay? So again, the second trick is, again, you're gonna web, it's almost like a spider web, right? You're just going to connect all these lines out to their corresponding angles, right? And depending on how you move that inside shape around inside of the outside shape, it will create the illusion of perspective. And I know you like that stuff. So let's go ahead and do that. And let's do a quick example on this guy right over here. And you can do all kinds of different things. Like the size of the inside shape is really up to you. You can make it a large representation, or you can make it a small representation, as I will show here. Make it much smaller. Make it much, much smaller. In fact, I'll probably even make it smaller than this. But you can see how it's up to you how you decide to design your gems. And yes, okay. Now, again, we'll shrink it down a little bit more like this. And then once we connect those edges, you get something like that. And you're probably thinking right about now, well, that's all well and good, Keenan, but how am I supposed to freaking paint these things? How am I supposed to paint them and make them look good? Right? My character has this jewel encrusted bracelet and a crown and everything. How am I supposed to make these jewels look good? Don't worry. We're getting to it. Don't jump the gun. Don't jump the gun. Okay? All right. So now we're going to move into, we're going to mask these things really quick, and then we're going to work with some colors. Okay? And then for a round, this is actually going to be a separate type of gem. It's going to be more like a polished stone, or like a polished marble or like a glassy looking thing. And this one will not have any cuts because it is going to be spherical, rounded. But let's go ahead and get into masking these really quick. So I'm going to do my quick mask technique because I'm freaking awesome like that. And for those of you who don't know what that is, let me go ahead and tell you. Okay, so what I do is I select everything around. Make sure you have clean edges, as I've said many times before. Take out your magical wand tool, select everything around them. And then what you're going to want to do is, I have this set to a custom action, but you go to modify, select, modify, and then expand. Right? And then I usually expand it by about 3 pixels, right? And then my action is set up to do that, so I can do it once, twice, 3 times, however many times, just so the selection is inside those lines, okay? And then I'll hit Shift Control I to invert it, then fill it. Oh, whoops. Fill it with a new layer behind those lines. All right, and then you got something like this. So we will do, I want to make this one on the edge, I want to make it green. So this one's going to be green. Whoa, whoops. That one's going to be green. This one will be yellow, but because we're awesome, we know about hue shifting. We're going to start not at yellow, we're going to start with the darkened version of it, which is an orange. The hue shift down to orange. Okay. Actually, that still looks like crap. Hang on. Let's make it a little more like that. Yeah. All right. All right. And then that middle one, sure, it can be pink. Why not? All right. And now we're going to move into the lines. Okay. I've hit our magical button right here that locks our lines. And we're going to color the lines really quickly. Okay. So we're going to have that one be like a dark orange. The middle one, basically you just want to consider it as a dark color of whatever it is you're drawing. And hue shift, right? Hue shift. I'm hue shifting my dark greens towards blue. Hue shifting my dark yellows towards orange. And then my dark pinks towards purples. All right, now we have the beginnings of our gems. Now this is actually going to be a very simple tutorial, guys, because in fact, you guys might be amazed at how simple this is. So let's actually start with the spherical one, because that's going to be the most important one. This is going to demonstrate the principle most clearly. So we are going to create a new layer over top of our main colors, right? New layer. And then what I've done is I've turned it into a clipping mask, which is basically you just hold the Alt key and then you click between the layers. I have explained this many times before, but just in case you're joining us today, I'm going to show you how to do everything. I will always explain it. And now what you're going to do is you're going to have your pink, for example, and then you're going to choose a lighter color, right? Lighter color, and we're going to hue shift slightly towards red. Slightly towards red. Why? Because I feel like it, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and get our soft brush. Now, I know what you're thinking. We are going to have the light. The light is going to be coming from, let's have our light coming from this way. Okay, so light is coming from the top left. Top left light source. Very good. Happy sun. Or maybe it can just be a chameleon sun. That looked like his tongue there. There you go. There you go. He's a chameleon sun. All right, so the light is coming from the top left. And let's go ahead and do this thing now. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do, I'm sure you guys have learned how to shade spheres in your art classes, right? And you're like, oh yeah, the light is coming from the top left, so let's put the light on the top left. No, that's not the way it works with jewels. Actually, I'm going to ask you to think in reverse. You're going to be playing the mirror circuit of Mario Kart today because you're going to be thinking in reverse. And you are going to color the opposite end, whoops, on your clipping mask. That way it doesn't go out of what was already laid down, okay? So there is step one, okay? Now you're going to put in your shadow again. Where do you think that shadow is going to go? On the opposite end. That's right. So your shadow is, curiously enough, going to be on the other side. And then you're going to really saturate that middle. The middle part of your gem, you want to make it really, really saturated. Makes it look good. Makes it look very good. Something like that. In fact, I would make it even darker. This is really up to you how dark you want to make it, but I tend to make my gems fairly dark. Okay, so there is step 1. Here's step 2. Make a new layer. And now we are going to consider our highlight, our specular light. Okay, so sunlight is going to be very, very light yellow. Okay. And now you can flip your mind back around and you can employ where the light is coming from. So the specular is going to be on the top left. Okay. Now you'll notice, hey, look at that. Interesting. Now we have a very, very nice looking gem. Very, very nice looking gem with all the proper properties happening within it. And then we can go back out to the outlines. Sometimes the outlines can make it look a little bit more cartoony. So I would recommend you going back out and painting those lines. Again, make sure they're locked with this button. Lock them up. And then there you go. You have a very nice looking gem. Now, let's move on to these other ones and let's play around with those same exact principles, okay? So we are going to basically make our lighter orange, which is going to shift us towards yellow. And you're going to put that on the bottom side. So you're going to have something like this, okay? Oh, very good, very good. In fact, I'm just going to take that line color, kind of put that in like that. I like it. Now, the way that the light interacts with jewels when they are geometric like this, it really happens to differ. It matters mostly where the light itself is coming from. Because if this was straight to the left, it would be hitting mostly right here. It would be refracting heavily off of this edge right here. So you'd have something like that, right? And then maybe a little bit of refraction there, and a little bit of refraction there. You can see basically like that. However, most of the time when I like to light my characters, there's a lot of light coming from the front. So what you will do in this case is you will light the front part of this gem like this, right? You can put like a little gradient in there, maybe like that. And then you can go around and kind of trim those edges away. Because we're awesome. And we like to do stuff like that. So that's another example of how you can do that thing. But most of the time I find it good to have like an edge lit like that, if you can. That usually looks pretty good. So it's really up to you. Again, the point is that you're trying to go for contrast. You want to have a hot highlight or a hot specular on the point where the darkest part of your gem is. Because again, it's interacting in a backwards fashion. And that's what gives it the illusion of being a gem. All right, so let's move on to this last guy right over here. And let's explain that. Oh, but before we do that, I do want to clean up these lines as well. Let's clean up these lines. Make them a little bit more soft. Make them just a tad bit softer. Like that. Good. All right, last guy right here, and then I'm going to take your guys' questions. All right, so I'm going to make this really, really bright. I want this thing to look like a magical emerald. Sometimes it's cool to have a very bright light kind of like emanating within it because it makes it look more magical. And we like magic, don't we? I know you do. I know you do. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll have a very, very dark color at the top here. Okay, now again, same thing. Let's go ahead and put on our highlights. Choose your highlight where you want it to go. One of the, basically the cuts will refract the most light. That's what you want to think of it as. And then as it branches outwards, the next will have a little less, and then the next one a little less, you know? So keep that in mind. That's the illusion you're trying to go for. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is how you create beautiful, beautiful gems. And with all that out of the way, I think it's time for a little something. You know what that is? It's time for the question catapults! Alright, ladies and gentlemen, cast your questions over the castle walls, as has been instructed in the video. Carry on with this good old daily and then end today's show. I hope this has been informative to you. I mean, it's a very simple idea, but I actually saw this. I actually saw the original tutorial on doing this in one of those how to draw manga books, like that you get from like Barnes & Noble. They're not really that good, but I really believe that every book has a gem that you must pull out of it, right? And I literally pulled out a gem from the how to draw manga book. But I remember looking at those things. I was like, man, I could totally make a better book than this about how to draw manga. These guys don't know what they're talking about. Like, freaking crazy. So, anyway. All right. So, another question that you guys might have is regarding, let's see here. Regarding the actual, like, if you wanted to paint out the lines, I think that's what I will finish up with because I think that is very important. How would you go about painting out the lines? And I will do that right now. But first, let me take a quick question from you guys. You guys are awesome. Laritos is asking, is that a derivative of Doritos? I've got a question regarding legal issues here. Planning to do an illustrated book, motion comic, based on League of Legends characters for the Comic Fiesta. Does it violate the legal term? If it's a derivative work and you are doing it by like not making, like if you're not selling it and actually making money off it, you can make, it's just fan art, right? If you're competing in a contest, I really don't see any problem with it. If you really think there could be a problem, contact somebody from Riot, contact legal, but I really don't think that there's gonna be a problem with that. Fan art and contests, you know, they don't care about that stuff. They don't even care about these people at the conventions, like literally painting their characters and selling and making money, right? It's like you really have to start taking advantage of their characters before they really start, you know, giving a crap. It's kind of funny, but, you know, it's just, I wouldn't worry about it. All right, can you do a video on coloring lines? Oh, I have done a video on coloring lines, but it is like so old. I think it's like KNKL Show episode 2. I could totally do a better one. Kath Boto asks, that is a great question. I will do that. Yes, line coloring. All right, awesome. And as you guys ask a couple more questions, let's go ahead and color in this gem here. And let's paint out these lines. Let's paint them out because I always teach you guys to lay out your colors like this, but then you want to go over everything. You want to go over everything. So there's two things that we can do here. One of them is, and what I would recommend is that you do this. Take those lines, take those line colors that you've already colored in, and I want you to start creating contrast by basically putting contrast between lights and darks. And you can do it very simply like this I'm showing you right now. So basically what I'm deciding is that any colors, basically any angle that is facing to the top left, so for instance this way, that is going to be the darker edge, right? If it's facing upward or to the left, that is going to be the darker edge. So just go ahead and do that, and you will notice interesting things are starting to happen. You can begin having your gem look proper without actually having to worry about having the lines be there, the lines be present anymore. It's actually quite nice, if I do say so myself. All right, next question, asking Matthew. Matthew's asking, what happens if the light color is another color, like red or something? I don't know. I've never painted like that before. I've never painted like a green gem with a red on it. It would probably mix together and make gray, though. It's similar to the light mixing that we did a couple weeks ago. I personally have not had a situation where I've had to draw that, but if I did, I'd probably just use the same techniques that I taught in that one. So I would consult that one. Try it out for yourself. Try it out for yourself. See if it works. See if it works. Okay? So let's go ahead and just smooth this puppy out. Smooth this puppy out. And there you go. There you go. You can see everything is coming together, sort of. It looks really okay. Looks really okay. When all else fails, just have those lines be really thin. That's what I always say. And then I would employ a little bit of even more, like maybe a little bit of reflected light coming from the other side. So something like this. There you go. But yeah, probably the biggest thing you want to consider in the back of your mind is just make sure your light colors are down here. Your dark colors are up here. And then your hot specular is happening somewhere on the opposite side. And you will make lovely gems. Lovely, lovely gems. And you will be happy. Love it. Yeah, actually, I think that's what I would do. I would employ a little bit more lightness in a couple more of these cuts back here. Because I was trying to rely on gradients to tell the story, but that wasn't quite doing it for us. That alone was not doing it for us. And that looks much better. Much, much, much better. However, we can't have a small gradient right there. And there you go. There you go. All right, final question. Final question coming out from... let's see. Let's see. Trouble the Jester is asking, how do I make a bunch of gems together while keeping some detail? Keeping the detail. Let's see if I can very quickly demonstrate that, because I did do something like that recently. I was working on something recently for that. So yeah, let me show you how to go about doing that. Same principle. Same principle is going to apply. Except, yeah, that actually looks really good. I love it. I love it. But let me very quickly show you how to do something like that. Like, say you've got like a bunch of gems together. So say we'll have something like this, like a crystal type of gem there, and then you want to have like a bunch of other smaller ones. It's actually going to follow the same type of, basically the same principles are going to apply. But here's a cool way that you can do it, right? Here's a really cool way that you can do it. So say you've got a cluster of gems like this. Okay? I'm going to do this really quickly. Really, really quickly, because we got to finish up the daily. Finish up the daily. Okay, so you've got your lines there. Same principle. Go ahead and mask all of those babies in. I'm doing manual masking because I'm awesome. But I've taught you guys not to do this. There's a better way. There's a better way, okay? Okay, go ahead and mask that in. Cool. Lock that in place, and then check it out. One thing that I found, you can kind of cheat this a little bit, but I found that you can just kind of like light the gems from one side. And then, you know, like in this one, like obviously you don't want to light them like that because you need darkness on this, basically on the sides of all the gems. You want to make sure that you have darkness. So put in a little bit of light there, a little bit of light there, a little light there, and there, and there. Okay? And you have something like that Then you'll go in with your specular. And let's say the speculars are happening right there and there. And then just kind of mirror it. Like the same speculars will happen across all the same gems. And before you know it, look at what we got. We've got some beautiful gems all in a row, and they all have a good amount of detail to them. And then just employ the same thing I was talking about with the overpainting. And you will have an awesome gem piece. A shiny, shiny jewel piece. Alrighty then, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you all for joining me live on Twitch. For people on YouTube, thumbs up if you like it, thumbs down if you don't. My name is KNKL. I'll see you guys this Thursday for our Thoughtful Thursday. We'll be talking about... I'm probably going to keep it secret right now. I got a bunch of choices of what I can do. And yeah, we'll be talking about some philosophy this upcoming Thursday. So you guys take care of yourselves. Until next time, see ya. See ya. See ya. See ya. I feel like there was something else. There was something else I needed to say. Oh yeah, that's right. Chameleon Sun. Chameleon Sun. This was really the most important part of the entire daily. Make sure you're drawing some chameleon suns. If I see anything on the Facebook about this, there better be a chameleon sun. All right, guys. But seriously, you guys take care. I'll see you next time.